Let me start with the hard truth. Comfort doesn't steal your money first, it steals your time. And time is the only currency you can never earn back. Comfort whispers, relax, you've got plenty of time, but comfort is a liar. Time is always moving and comfort is always standing still. If you're comfortable right now, you might feel safe, but safety is often the most expensive place you can live. Comfort is the enemy of time because comfort slows urgency. When you're uncomfortable, you move. When you're hungry, you hunt. When the pressure is on, your potential wakes up. But when comfort moves in, discipline moves out. Comfort turns hours into minutes and minutes into years. You look up one day and ask, how did so much time pass? It passed while you were comfortable. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Time doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. Comfort loves intentions. Comfort says, I'll start tomorrow, I'll change next month, I'll go all in next year. But time doesn't care about your plans, it only responds to your actions. While you're waiting to feel ready, time is charging interest on your delay. Comfort is sneaky. It doesn't attack you, it seduces you. It gives you just enough pleasure to keep you distracted and just enough pain to keep you stuck. Comfort doesn't destroy dreams loudly, it erases them quietly, one day at a time, one excuse at a time, one I'll do it later at a time. And later is where dreams go to die. Let me give you a principle. Growth and comfort do not coexist. You cannot maximize your future while protecting your comfort. The life you want is on the other side of the discomfort you keep avoiding. Discipline feels hard now, but regret feels heavier later. Temporary discomfort buys permanent progress. So here's the question you must ask yourself. What is comfort costing you today? Is it costing you skills? Is it costing you income? Is it costing you the person you could become? Every hour you spend in unnecessary comfort is an hour you've robbed from your future self. And your future self is counting on you to do the hard things now. Comfort slows urgency in a way that feels harmless at first, almost invisible, and that's what makes it dangerous. Comfort doesn't shout at you to stop. It gently asks you to wait. It tells you there's no rush, no pressure, no reason to move right now. And the moment urgency disappears, momentum dies. Think about this. When a deadline is real, you perform. When the pressure is high, you focus. When the cost of delay is obvious, you act. Urgency sharpens the mind and activates discipline. Comfort dulls both. Comfort creates a false sense of security where progress feels optional instead of necessary. It convinces capable people to move at the speed of their feelings instead of the speed of opportunity. Here's a hard truth. Most people avoid urgency is not stress. Urgency is clarity. Urgency forces you to decide what matters and eliminate what doesn't. Comfort does the opposite. Comfort expands distractions and shrinks priorities. When life is too comfortable, you negotiate with your goals instead of committing to them. You say things like, I'll start after this phase, or once things settle down, or when I feel more motivated. But urgency doesn't wait for motivation, it creates it. Comfort waits for perfect conditions that never arrive. Time keeps moving, but the comfortable mind stands still. Urgency is what separates high performers from average ones. It's not intelligence, it's not talent, it's not even opportunity, it's speed of execution. Comfortable people move slowly because nothing feels urgent enough to demand immediate action. They consume information but delay application. They admire success but postpone sacrifice. They stay busy but not productive. Comfort fills the schedule without advancing the mission. And while they're comfortable, someone else with less talent but more urgency is passing them by. Comfort is seductive because it feels responsible. It disguises itself as balance, patience, or self-care, but underneath it's often fear wearing polite clothes. Fear of discomfort, fear of effort, fear of failing publicly. Urgency exposes fear because urgency demands movement before confidence arrives. Comfort protects the ego, urgency builds the future. When urgency is gone, procrastination feels justified. When urgency is present, excuses sound ridiculous. Urgency doesn't allow endless thinking, it forces decisive action. Look at any meaningful breakthrough in your life, there was urgency attached to it. You didn't wait until you felt ready, you moved because you had to. That's the power of urgency. It compresses time. It makes years of progress happen in months. Comfort stretches time. It makes months feel productive while years disappear. Comfort gives you the illusion of control while quietly stealing your edge. The uncomfortable truth is this: urgency must often be self-imposed. Life doesn't always force it on you. Successful people create urgency where others wait for it. They act as if time is expensive because it is. They treat delays as losses, not neutral decisions. They understand that comfort today can cost them freedom tomorrow. That awareness keeps them moving when others slow down. If you want to know why potential stays unrealized, look at where comfort has replaced urgency. Where urgency disappears, discipline weakens. Where discipline weakens, consistency fades. And where consistency fades, results vanish. Comfort slows urgency, and when urgency slows, the future gets postponed. The question is not whether you are capable. The real question is whether you are urgent enough to act before comfort convinces you to wait. Time does not respond to what you mean to do. It responds only to what you actually do. That's a law, not an opinion. Intentions feel productive because they sound intelligent, optimistic, and future-focused, but time is unimpressed by them. You don't get credit for potential. You don't get rewarded for planning. You don't get progress points for good ideas sitting in your head. Time moves forward whether you execute or not, and it only carries forward the results of action. Everything else gets left behind. Here's the trap. Intentions give you emotional relief without requiring physical effort. You feel good saying, I'm going to start, I'm working on it, or I have a plan. That feeling tricks the brain into believing progress has been made, but nothing has changed. No skill has improved, no system has been built, no result has been produced. Time keeps passing and intentions quietly expire. Execution is the only language time understands. Execution is uncomfortable because it exposes you to reality. Intentions live safely in the imagination where nothing can fail. Execution steps into the real world where feedback is immediate and unforgiving. That's why most people stay stuck in planning mode. They mistake preparation for progress. They attend seminars, watch videos, take notes, and collect strategies, but never cross the line into consistent action. Time doesn't reward preparation, it rewards application. Knowledge only compounds when it's used. High performers understand something most people miss. Speed of execution beats perfection of intention. A flawed action taken today is more powerful than a perfect plan delayed for a year. Time multiplies what you repeat, not what you rehearse mentally. You don't need more motivation, you need more movement. You don't need more clarity. Clarity comes from action. Execution creates data, confidence, and correction. Intentions create comfort and delay. There is no future reward system for almost starting. Time does not negotiate. It doesn't pause because you had a hard week. It doesn't slow down because you're still thinking. Every day you delay execution, you're not standing still. You're falling behind the version of yourself you could have been. That's the seed. Most people underestimate. The price of inaction is paid in lost momentum, lost belief, and lost opportunity. Execution is what converts vision into value. Without execution, vision is entertainment. Ideas are cheap because everyone has them. What separates outcomes from wishful thinking is disciplined action over time. Small, repeated executions compound faster than massive intentions ever could. One focused hour of execution beats 10 hours of planning. Time amplifies consistency, not enthusiasm. Another uncomfortable truth, time doesn't care why you didn't act. Excuses may feel valid to you, but time records only results. It doesn't log your struggles, your fears, or your circumstances. It logs output. That's why two people can have the same goals, the same resources, and the same starting point, yet end up in completely different places. One executes daily. The other intends to. Execution builds self-respect. Every action you take reinforces the identity of someone who follows through. Every intention you abandon weakens that identity. Over time, that gap becomes visible in confidence, income, skill, and opportunity. Time aligns itself with people who move. Momentum follows motion. Stagnation follows intention without action. If you want time to work in your favor, stop negotiating with it using intentions and start partnering with it through execution. Action turns time into an ally. Delay turns it into a thief. The clock is not waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting to see what you will do next. Discomfort is not a punishment, it is a requirement. Growth has never been free, easy, or convenient, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling motivation, not truth. Every meaningful upgrade in life demands pressure. Muscles grow by tearing. Skills grow by struggle. Character grows by resistance. The reason most people don't grow is not because they lack potential, but because they avoid discomfort like it's a threat instead of a teacher. The moment discomfort shows up, they interpret it as a sign to stop, when in reality, it's a signal that growth has begun. Here's the hook most people miss. Comfort preserves who you are. Discomfort creates who you become. If you keep doing what feels easy, you will keep getting what feels familiar. Discomfort forces expansion. It stretches your capacity, sharpens your thinking, and exposes your weaknesses so they can be strengthened. Growth does not respond to convenience. Growth responds to challenge. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not evolving, you're repeating. Discomfort is where clarity is born. When things are easy, you drift. When things are hard, you focus. Pressure removes the unnecessary and reveals the essential. Under discomfort, excuses lose their power and priorities become obvious. That's why people grow faster in demanding seasons than in comfortable ones. Discomfort eliminates illusion. It forces honesty about effort, discipline, and commitment. Comfort allows self-deception. Discomfort demands truth. Most people associate discomfort with pain, but that's an incomplete understanding. Discomfort is temporary, stagnation is permanent. The pain of growth has an expiration date, but the pain of avoidance compounds. What you avoid today doesn't disappear, it waits. It returns bigger, heavier, and more expensive. Discomfort paid early is an investment. Discomfort avoided becomes debt. Here's another truth that separates high performers from everyone else. They don't wait for discomfort to go away. They learn to operate inside it. They understand that confidence is not built before discomfort. It is built through it. Waiting to feel ready is one of the most common ways people delay their destiny. Growth doesn't ask if you're comfortable, it asks if you're committed. Discomfort is the toll booth on the road to mastery. Everyone pays it or they turn back. Discomfort also rewires identity. Every time you do something hard, you send yourself a message, I am kappa. Every time you avoid something hard, you send a different message, I need safety. Over time, those messages become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. Behavior becomes results. Growth is not just about what you achieve, it's about who you believe you are allowed to become. Discomfort expands that permission. Look closely at any person you admire for their discipline, confidence, or success. What you're really seeing is someone who has made peace with discomfort. They train when it's inconvenient. They study when it's boring. They act when it's scary, not because they enjoy pain, but because they value growth more than comfort. They understand that ease is a terrible metric for decision making. The right path often feels heavy before it feels rewarding. Discomfort is the doorway most people stand in front of, but never walk through. On the other side is skill, strength, and self-respect. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens by choice. And the choice is always the same. Lean into discomfort now or stay comfortable and stay the same. Delay is not harmless, it is expensive. It feels small in the moment, just one more day, one more week, one more pause, but delay quietly charges interest on your potential. Every time you postpone action, you are not preserving energy, you are leaking opportunity. The cost doesn't show up immediately, which is why people underestimate it. But make no mistake, delay is a hidden tax, and it is deducted from your future before you ever see it coming. Here's the hook most people miss. Delay doesn't mean nothing happens, it means the wrong things happen. Confidence weakens, momentum fades, opportunities move on to someone else. While you wait, life doesn't freeze, it reallocates. Time keeps rewarding movement, and delay is the decision to stand still while the world advances. You don't stay where you are, you fall behind at a speed you don't feel until it's obvious. Delay is deceptive because it often wears the costume of logic. It sounds reasonable. It says now isn't the right time, I need more information, or I'll do it when I'm more prepared. But preparation without execution is just procrastination with a better vocabulary. The truth is, clarity rarely comes before action. It comes because of action. Delay pretends to protect you from mistakes, but it actually protects you from growth. Every delayed decision compounds uncertainty. The longer you wait, the heavier the decision feels. What was once a simple step becomes an emotional burden. Fear grows in the space where action should have been. That's why delay feels safe at first, but stressful later. You're not avoiding pressure, you're rescheduling it, usually at a higher cost. Delay turns small challenges into overwhelming ones. There's also compounding loss. People rarely calculate lost skill. Skills are built by repetition, not intention. Every day you delay starting is a day you don't practice, don't learn, don't refine. Someone else is getting better while you're getting ready. The market doesn't reward readiness, it rewards relevance. Delay slowly erodes relevance, and by the time you act, the standard has risen. Delay taxes belief as well. Each time you postpone something you know you should do, you weaken trust in yourself. You start doubting your own follow-through. That internal erosion is subtle but powerful. Over time, people stop expecting themselves to act, and that expectation becomes a ceiling. Delay doesn't just steal outcomes, it steals identity. You stop seeing yourself as a person who moves decisively. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Delay is a decision, even when you pretend it isn't. Not choosing is still choosing. Waiting is still voting. For comfort, for familiarity, for short-term relief. And every vote has consequences. The future you experience is shaped less by bold failures and more by silent delays. Dreams rarely die from one bad decision. They die from too many postponed ones. Hyper 4. MERS understand this principle. Action now is cheaper than action later. The earlier you move, the lower the cost in energy, stress, and risk. Delay inflates everything. What could have been built calmly becomes rushed. What could have been learned gradually becomes overwhelming. Delay steals the advantage of time, and time is the most powerful multiplier you have. If you want to know where your potential is leaking, look at what you keep postponing. That's where the tax is being charged. Delay feels invisible, but the bill always arrives. Paid in missed chances, unrealized ability, and the quiet question of what could have happened if you had moved sooner. Comfort creates silent regret because it doesn't fail you loudly. It fails you slowly. There is no dramatic collapse, no obvious warning sign, no moment where alarms go off and say, you're wasting your life. Instead, comfort lets days pass quietly. Weeks blur together, years slide by unnoticed, and one day, without any explosion or disaster, you realize something heavy, nothing terrible happened. But nothing meaningful did either. That's how regret is born. Not from chaos, but from calm. Here's the hook most people don't see coming. Regret is rarely about what you did wrong. It's about what you never did at all. Failure teaches lessons. Mistakes create wisdom. But comfort produces nothing to learn from. Only empty space where effort should have been. Comfort convinces you that avoiding risk is the same as being wise, but wisdom without action is just delayed disappointment. You don't regret trying and failing nearly as much as you regret watching time pass while you stayed safe. Comfort is dangerous because it feels kind. It tells you to rest when you should push. It tells you to wait when you should move. It tells you there's always tomorrow, as if tomorrow is guaranteed and identical to today. Comfort doesn't say give up. It says not now, and not now, repeated long enough, becomes never. That's why regret sneaks up on people who believe they were being patient, practical, or cautious. The most painful regret is not the pain of loss, it's the pain of unrealized potential. Knowing you could have done more, knowing you were capable of more, knowing the gap between who you are and who you could have become exists because you chose ease over effort too many times. Comfort protects you from short-term discomfort, but exposes you to long-term dissatisfaction. It trades momentary peace for permanent questions. Look closely at regret and you'll notice something important. It grows in silence. No one warns you when you're choosing comfort too often. Society applauds it. People call it balance. They call it being realistic. They call it knowing your limits, but limits that are never tested are just beliefs, not facts. Comfort keeps those beliefs unchallenged, and years later, regret asks the question comfort never did. What if? Another hook people overlook is this. Regret hurts more as you gain clarity. When you're young, comfort feels harmless, time feels abundant, options feel endless, but as time passes, clarity sharpens. You see patterns, you recognize missed chances, you understand that the doors you assumed would always be open have quietly closed. Comfort doesn't warn you when an opportunity is expiring. Regret is the notification you get after it's gone. Comfort also delays courage. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it weakens when unused. Each time you choose comfort over challenge, you make the next challenge feel heavier. Over time, even small risks feel overwhelming. Regret grows not because the dream was impossible, but because the habit of avoidance became strong. Comfort trains you to choose relief over growth, and regret is the long-term result of that training. What makes comfort generated? Regret, especially painful, is that it feels personal. You can blame circumstances for failure. You can blame others for setbacks. But regret born from comfort, RT, points inward. It asks uncomfortable questions about discipline, effort, and honesty. It reminds you that no one stopped you. You simply didn't push yourself. That realization carries weight because it comes with responsibility. Comfort never looks like the enemy while it's winning. It looks like peace. It looks like safety. It looks like control. Regret is how you discover the real cost. Not in noise, not in drama, but in quiet moments when you realize the life you imagined required a version of you that comfort slowly erased. Discipline is not restriction, it is alignment. It aligns your actions with your intentions and your daily behavior with your long-term vision. Time does not respond to intensity once in a while. It responds to consistency over time. Discipline is what turns time from a neutral force into a powerful ally. Without discipline, time exposes weaknesses. With discipline, time multiplies effort. The difference between people who look back with progress and those who look back with regret is not talent or luck, but disciplined use of time. Here's the hook most people miss. Discipline feels heavy at first because it is doing the lifting for your future self. Every disciplined action is a deposit made into tomorrow. You don't always feel the benefit immediately, but time records it. Missed workouts, skipped learning, avoided responsibilities. They feel small in isolation, but discipline understands compounding. Small actions repeated daily don't stay small. Time magnifies them into habits, habits into identity, and identity into outcomes. Discipline removes decision fatigue. When your standards are clear, you don't negotiate with yourself every day. You don't ask whether you should show up. You already decided who you are. That clarity saves time, energy, and focus. Undisciplined people spend their days deciding. Disciplined people spend their days executing. Time favors execution. The fewer choices you debate, the faster you move. Discipline creates speed without chaos. Another truth that separates high performers from the rest is this: discipline outlasts motivation. Motivation is emotional and inconsistent. Discipline is structural and reliable. You don't build a future on mood, you build it on systems. Discipline creates routines that carry you forward even when enthusiasm fades. Time doesn't pause because you're tired or uninspired. Discipline keeps you moving when motivation disappears, ensuring progress doesn't depend on how you feel. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you strengthen self-belief. Every time you break a promise to yourself, that belief erodes. Over time, disciplined people develop quiet confidence, not from hype, but from evidence. They've watched themselves do hard things repeatedly. Time rewards that consistency by opening doors to opportunities that only reliable people can handle. Many people misunderstand discipline as punishment, but discipline is freedom delayed. It is choosing structure now so you can choose options later. Discipline narrows your focus in the short term, but expands your life in the long term. Time gives leverage to those who can sustain effort. Anyone can work hard for a week. Discipline is working with intention for years. Time partners with longevity, not bursts. Discipline protects you from distraction, which is one of time's greatest thieves. The world is designed to pull your attention in every direction. Discipline creates boundaries. It says no to what feels good so it can say yes to what matters. Without discipline, time leaks through distractions. With discipline, time is invested with purpose. Focus compounds just like effort does. The most powerful aspect of discipline is that it transforms ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. There is nothing glamorous about daily discipline. It's repetitive, quiet, and often unnoticed. But time notices. Time stacks those ordinary days until one day the results loom. Extraordinary. People call it overnight success, but discipline knows the truth. It was time working faithfully with consistency. Discipline is how you teach time to work for you instead of against you. When discipline leads, time follows. When discipline is absent, time exposes the gap between what you wanted and what you were willing to do. If you want to respect time, you must declare war on comfort. Get uncomfortable on purpose. Wake up earlier, push harder, learn faster, move before you feel ready. Because time doesn't wait for comfort, it only responds to courage. Comfort is the enemy of time, but discipline is time's greatest ally. Choose wisely, your future is watching.